wives?
Well, he had his first wife,
Julia,
Helen,
Hildegard.
and then for years he lived with Alice,
Mm-hmm.
about 10 years.
And then Aunt Mary.
You know what happened to his first wife?
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
She had a
nervous breakdown,
yeah.
and she was in
the institution.
Yeah.
Aunt Mutt's married to Coolidge from the Coolidge family, and Kat married Rudy Honor, and they moved up north. And I knew very little of her. All I know is what other people tell me, that she was good to her sisters and brothers. She loved them.
Oh yes, when the mother died,
Mm-hmm.
she died shortly after we were married,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe 6 months after that.
She liked you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she treated me. She did. She thought Dad was a stinker, because he didn't behave himself.
And she actually thought that...
That Doreen was her, because he said that to her, and I wasn't going to say anything, I'd be thrown out, maybe.
Dad loved Doreen.
I think so. I think he had a lot of respect for her, but there was times when she would stick up for me, and that's how she had to leave.
But when she was small, he really...
Oh yes, yeah.
Dad liked little kids. Then we have Uncle Bill, who married Aunt Lucille.
Well, he was married before that, too.
To a Bertha, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Aunt Lucille, and that's George's sponsor, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah. He was a butcher.
He was a butcher. Mm-hmm.
And then comes Uncle Happy.
Yes.
He was a commercial artist.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was married to Gloria, and they had eight children. And then we have Aunt Gertie, who was my sponsor. She married Stanley Jar.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a very special couple, too.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Right.
Okay. I know that whenever they got together, we had a lot of fun. I can remember having fun. But the beer would flow, and pretty soon the fist would flow, too.
Yes.
That stopped after a while. Okay. We all know that Daddy had a problem drinking. We can go into some of the rough times, but that doesn't count.
Yeah,
because there were many, many good times that we want to remember him for.
When he wasn't drinking, he would make things...
He thought an awful lot about his family, I think, about his children, and loved each one of us for whatever. He was, to me, he was a very intelligent man. I can't think of any other man that knew as much as he did without any schooling. He read the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
I mean, from front to...
Yes.
He
was a big reader.
Yes.
Big reader.
And he was talented with his hands. I think every one of his brothers and sisters, I don't know about the girls, but I do know that the boys all were very artistic.
Well, so was Mutz, too.
Was she?
Mutz was, yes. In embroidery work and beautiful things.
I know she was an excellent cook.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I can remember my Aunt Mutz living upstairs from the tavern, and she never had a stove or an oven. And she would make these fantastic torts and these cakes and these cookies in a roaster, an electric roaster.
Yes.
The whole meal would be done in it.
And she's still living there.
And she's still living there. Yes.
She had a
nice living room. Yes, yeah. She had a good life.
One bedroom.
I think she had a very good life. We'll get back to Dad. You're married, and you have Doreen, and then you have George, and then you have me, and then Sandy, and then you have Kathleen, Kitty. Things are rough.
Yes, they were rough, but I always remember the good times.
Not a lot of money.
Christmas was special. Everybody always got something, no matter if we didn't have anything. Do you remember going
remember.
Without? Yeah.
I remember going without, but I never thought we were going without.
Yeah. Well,
now that I think about it, we were going without.
Yeah.
I remember the good times. I remember my dad cooking up a storm. After all, he did teach you how to cook.
Yeah, he said so.
How many times? Our favorite meals probably were,
Pork roast and canoodle,
oh,
or
love,
veal breast,
yeah, stuffed veal breast.
and that's the way it was.
What was on Sunday?
Chicken soup, chicken.
We didn't have the chicken a lot of times. We just had the soup sometimes
Yeah.
and the chicken the next day.
Yeah.
As vehement as he was, as he said he wasn't a Christian, he made darn sure that all of his children went to Sunday school
I'm glad you're
and
saying
to
that.
church.
I say that all the time too.
Yes,
But I say I'm glad to hear that from you.
yeah, I can remember that.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good times, a lot of picnics. You're supposed to talk.
Yes, I know that.
How about the movies?
The movies?
We used to always go to the movies.
Oh, yes. Right.
Do you want to know one of the? I'm just going to add this while I'm thinking about it. But one of the things I remember I was so proud of was my dad constantly saying, "She's got the best eyesight. In the dark, that girl can see." He would give me the key after we would go to the movies. It'd be
Yes.
dark at night. He'd give me the key because he knew I could find the hole, and I felt so proud. Now I can't see unless I got 3 pair of glasses on.
I know what you mean.
We lived in a lot of different places.
Yes, we did. We did. We lived in some of them a long time though too. Like Third Street, we lived 3 years.
That was a joint.
Yes, but there was nothing.
We lived
even
on.
here.
We lived in the cottage on 8th Street.
Mhm. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
We lived there till you were about 5 years old. Bedrooms were upstairs. Remember when George hung out the window? Oh, he called me and I said, "Where are you?" He says, "Upstairs there." And I thought I'd look outside. Here he's hanging down with his head down, legs strapped over the windowsill, in. Oh my gosh,
Don't
they're
fall,
always the
don't fall.
pranks. And the gum on the bedpost, they'd save their gum.
Food.
Him and Doreen, they were real buddies. They lived very.
Tell us about that little sneaky story about Doreen and what she left on the windowsill.
Oh, whenever there was sugar around, they tried to make fudge. So, without saying, I did go out to work. So this was, they were alone. Anyway, one time I see a big spot on the window. I said, "Well, what happened here?" And they said, "Well, they tried to cool off so they could, cut it or throw it out or put it out and cut it." And here the doggone pan stuck to the paint and everything like that. I don't think Dad ever saw it. We covered it up. We had a flower pot on there all the time. And I can remember him going out to get these chickens and geese and stuff like that. And Doreen, she couldn't stand that when we'd kill those. I'd go down and kill the chickens, and she'd cry she wasn't going to eat that, Maybe that's why she didn't want to eat meat.
There was one little bit of information that you told me about Doreen. You never thought she'd be, because she always saved this stuff. She'd have it from whenever she got the candy. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. She had, and now you can't keep candy.
Wait.
Well, I mean, she'd get candy for Christmas and stuff like that, and she had a nice little cupboard that her sponsor made her, Mr. Wallman, so she'd always have that thing, and boy, till George come around,
Full of what?
Yeah, would eat the candy.
She wouldn't?
Sure, after George came around.
Oh.
But before that, she always had a big bunch of candy, big bunch. She'd hide it, save it. She was
Save it for months.
You remember that time when they were cleaning off the table and they had a habit of putting newspaper on the seat of the chair, and then they'd put the garbage in there, because we didn't have garbage cans or like we have anything like we have now. And Dad came home and he had a little bit of a bun on. He comes in there and he sits right down in that chair with all that stuff, and they just open. Now what are we going to get, But he made a joke of it. He did really make a joke of it.
Probably really shocked him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then George playing with the eggs, see how close he could get to the